Adventure has many shapes. Sometimes it is a dusty trail cutting through red rock canyons. Other times it is a muddy logging road that vanishes into the pines. What matters is not the terrain but the feeling of self-reliance that comes when machine and driver move as one. For generations, a certain kind of vehicle has promised that freedom. Simple, mechanical, unfiltered. The sort of machine that invites you to unbolt the doors, fold down the windshield, and see the landscape not as scenery but as a challenge waiting to be met. The allure of that experience shaped a whole culture of weekend explorers and backyard tinkerers. It turned metal and gears into a symbol of American adventure, equal parts nostalgia and capability. Today, we are diving deep into one such legend, tracing its creation, its rise, and the way it continues to inspire. Hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment on which classic off-roader you want to see next. The Jeep CJ-7 from 1976 did not appear out of thin air. It was born from decades of refinement that began on the battlefields of the 1940s and rolled into civilian life with the CJ line. By the mid-1970s, American Motors Corporation faced a crossroads. The older CJ-5 was aging. It was rugged but cramped, its short wheelbase making it twitchy on the highway. Customers wanted something that still felt indestructible off-road, but was a bit more civilized on pavement. The answer was the Jeep CJ-7, introduced in 1976 with a slightly longer wheelbase and a body designed to accept automatic transmissions and hardtops. It was subtle engineering that made a massive difference in usability. That extra 10 inches between the axles transformed handling, improved comfort, and gave the vehicle broader appeal without muting its trail credibility. From the start, the Jeep CJ-7 struck a chord with both traditionalists and a new generation of drivers who wanted freedom without compromise. Its styling barely changed the iconic profile. Round headlights, flat fenders, and an upright stance told everyone what it was. Underneath, however, AMC's engineers had learned lessons from years of feedback. They used a stronger boxed frame to improve torsional rigidity, refine the suspension geometry, and offered a choice of engines from the durable 232 and 258 inline-sixes to a 304 cubic inch V8. Paired with Dana axles and available full-time four-wheel drive via the Quadratrac system, the CJ-7 became more than a trail rig. It became a versatile everyday vehicle capable of tackling snow, mud, or city traffic with equal ease. The mid-1970s were not easy years for automakers. Emission laws were tightening, the oil crisis had shifted consumer habits, and performance was a sensitive word. Yet the Jeep CJ-7 succeeded precisely because it ignored trends. It was not about quarter-mile times or futuristic styling. It was about mechanical honesty. Every switch, latch, and lever felt direct. The removable steel doors were more suggestion than barrier, and the Spartan dash carried gauges instead of gadgets. Drivers loved that clarity. It reminded them that adventure was not something to consume but something to earn. AMC marketed the CJ-7 cleverly. They highlighted its connection to the outdoors, showing it climbing mountains or splashing through rivers while other vehicles sat in suburban driveways. That imagery struck deep in an era when Americans were rediscovering national parks and wilderness travel. Jeep dealerships became gathering spots for off-road clubs. Aftermarket suppliers flourished with lift kits, winches, and oversized tires. The CJ-7's open design made customization simple, and that modular spirit gave owners a sense of personal connection few other vehicles could match. The introduction of the hardtop and steel doors as factory options marked a turning point. Suddenly, the CJ-7 could be a commuter during the week and a rock crawler on weekends. This duality expanded its audience. More people felt justified in buying one. AMC's decision to base the CJ-7's wheelbase at 93.5 inches proved to be the sweet spot between agility and stability. It could handle tight switchbacks yet feel stable on interstate speeds. That made it appealing to both off-road veterans and first-time buyers looking for something adventurous but livable. Inside, the CJ-7 offered more comfort than its predecessors without sacrificing its rugged identity. Bucket seats, carpet kits, and sound insulation appeared as options. Still, even the most dressed-up version never lost its elemental character. The wind noise, the mechanical clatter of the transfer case, and the feedback through the steering wheel were part of the experience. It was the opposite of isolation. It was involvement. By the late 1970s, the Jeep CJ-7 had quietly started shaping American recreation. It became the go-to choice for outdoor enthusiasts, hunters, and anyone who wanted to connect with nature on their own terms. Its simplicity meant fewer things to fail in the middle of nowhere. A set of tools and mechanical curiosity were all most owners needed to keep it running indefinitely. The drivetrain was overbuilt, the frame forgiving, and the community supportive. That combination forged loyalty deeper than brand recognition. It became almost tribal. The CJ-7 also arrived during the dawn of televised off-road events, which showcased vehicles in controlled competitions. Watching these machines claw up impossible inclines inspired thousands to join the growing off-road movement. The CJ-7, with its blend of accessibility and ability, became the poster child for that movement. It represented a mechanical link between civilian life and wilderness adventure. Culturally, it also began to drift into entertainment. Appearing in TV shows and films, the CJ-7 became shorthand for freedom and individuality. Unlike sports cars that symbolized excess, the CJ-7 projected humility and authenticity. It was an invitation to explore rather than to impress. People connected with that symbolism. It fit the growing appetite for authenticity that defined late 1970s Americana. From a manufacturing standpoint, the CJ-7's evolution reflected AMC's resourcefulness. Working with limited budgets, engineers reused proven components while focusing on structural improvements. The introduction of the optional quadra-track full-time four-wheel drive system in 1976 was particularly bold. At a time when most off-roaders still relied on manually locking hubs and part-time systems, quadra-track allowed drivers to stay in four-wheel drive continuously. It used a center differential with a limited slip mechanism to balance power between front and rear axles, giving better traction on slippery roads without the need to stop and engage manually. Of course, purists debated its necessity. Some viewed full-time four-wheel drive as complexity that diluted the purity of the off-road experience. Others saw it as progress that made rugged capability more accessible. This debate between mechanical simplicity and modern convenience mirrored larger tensions in automotive design, questions still relevant today. The CJ-7's powertrains evolved through its production years, but the heart of its appeal remained constant. Straightforward engineering that rewarded skill. The inline sixes were workhorses, delivering steady torque and reliability, while the optional 304 V8 added muscle for those who wanted to tow or climb at altitude. Paired with transmissions like the T150 or T18, and later the Tremec T176, these combinations built reputations for durability that endure among collectors. AMC's balance of affordability and authenticity positioned the Jeep CJ-7 perfectly between luxury SUVs that were just emerging and economy cars that offered no adventure at all. Its sales growth proved there was still a strong desire for vehicles that connected man and machine in direct, analog ways. The CJ-7 also had an unintended consequence. It taught America that utility could be lifestyle. What began as a practical off-roader evolved into a cultural emblem worn proudly on t-shirts, bumper stickers, and even in advertising for unrelated products. Jeep owners began waving to each other on the road, an informal salute that continues decades later. The Jeep CJ-7 from 1976 carried its momentum into the late 1970s and early 1980s with quiet confidence. It was not a car that changed yearly for the sake of headlines. Instead, it refined what already worked. AMC expanded the lineup with trim packages that gave buyers distinct personalities to choose from. The Renegade emphasized rugged flair, while the Golden Eagle, with its large hood decal, turned heads at gas stations. For those who preferred understated practicality, base models stayed simple, ready to be modified or left bare. This flexibility became one of the CJ-7's secret strengths. It allowed the same platform to satisfy a wide range of customers without losing its identity. The heart of the Jeep CJ-7 experience was adaptability. A driver could bolt on larger tires, re-gear the axles, or swap the top within an afternoon. The modular design made upgrades intuitive long before the term customization became marketing shorthand. Off-roaders could fine-tune their vehicles for rock crawling, overlanding, or beach driving, while daily drivers appreciated the straightforward maintenance. It was a machine that invited participation, and that hands-on engagement turned ownership into a hobby rather than an expense. Mechanically, the The CJ-7 demonstrated a rare harmony between simplicity and innovation. The available quadra-track full-time four-wheel drive system continued to distinguish it from competitors. It offered an optional low-range unit, controlled by a vacuum-operated switch, which allowed serious trail performance when needed. Drivers could climb steep grades or slog through deep mud without leaving the cabin to engage hubs. This convenience was significant for those who used the CJ-7 year-round, especially in snowy climates. At the same time, AMC still offered traditional part-time four-wheel drive for purists who wanted manual control. That dual approach broadened the CJ-7's appeal and showcased AMC's awareness of its diverse customer base. Throughout the early 1980s, the American automotive landscape was shifting. Compact cars from overseas were gaining ground, and sport utility vehicles were beginning to emerge as a mainstream idea. The CJ-7 found itself standing at the crossroads between old-school utility and the birth of modern SUVs. Its open-body design and exposed hinges looked increasingly anachronistic beside the growing number of closed-body wagons. Yet, rather than fading into irrelevance, the CJ-7 held its ground by embodying something those newer vehicles could not replicate: authentic adventure. The Jeep CJ-7's advertising leaned heavily on that authenticity. It was always shown in motion, conquering landscapes, towing boats, or carrying surfboards. The message was clear: this vehicle was not an accessory to life, it was a way to live it. Owners became brand ambassadors without realizing it, driving their Jeeps through snowstorms, desert crossings, and mountain passes. The imagery resonated deeply in a country that valued self-sufficiency. However, as the 1980s progressed, a cloud began to form over the CJ-7's reputation. Reports and studies questioned the rollover tendencies of short-wheelbase off-roaders. The Jeep CJ-7, like many of its peers, faced scrutiny for stability during sudden maneuvers. The issue was complex. Its narrow track and high center of gravity were essential for off-road clearance but less forgiving during aggressive highway driving. AMC and safety agencies sparred over test methodologies, and public perception became a challenge. Despite the controversy, loyal owners defended the CJ-7's integrity, arguing that responsible driving and proper maintenance mitigated risks. What kept the CJ-7 alive through this turbulence was the emotional connection owners had developed. It was a relationship that transcended statistics. For many, the CJ-7 represented a personal journey. Learning mechanical basics, tackling trails, and forging friendships around campfires. Off-road clubs multiplied across the United States, forming networks that organized trail runs, maintenance workshops, and charity events. The vehicle became the backbone of a growing subculture centered on exploration and community. The aftermarket industry also flourished during this era. From lift kits and axle upgrades to custom roll bars and fiberglass bodies, the CJ-7 became one of the most modified vehicles in the country. Entire companies were founded to serve this market, creating parts catalogs that still exist today. Owners could rebuild or reinvent their Jeeps endlessly, giving the CJ-7 a lifespan far beyond typical consumer cycles. It was not uncommon for families to pass them down from one generation to the next, with each owner adding a personal mark. AMC continued refining details through 1986, the CJ-7's final year of production. Mechanical updates were incremental but meaningful. Improved ignition systems, revised carburetors, and corrosion-resistant materials in key areas. The goal was longevity rather than novelty. AMC engineers knew that their customers valued dependability over flash. As the company itself faced financial challenges and eventual acquisition by Chrysler, the CJ-7 became a symbol of AMC's engineering resilience. The decision to end production of the CJ-7 in favor of the upcoming Wrangler in 1986 marked the end of an era. Yet, it was also a natural evolution. The Wrangler would adopt many lessons learned from the CJ-7. Its wheelbase, its mechanical layout, and even its philosophy of open-air freedom. But it would arrive with better crash protection, wider tracks, and improved comfort, reflecting how much the market had changed. For die-hard enthusiasts, though, the CJ-7 remained the last of the truly analog Jeeps, free from the influence of modern design compromises. The final years of CJ-7 production cemented its legacy. Special editions like the Laredo offered chrome trim, leather interiors, and two-tone paint, bridging the gap between rugged and refined. AMC understood that the off-road lifestyle was expanding beyond hardcore adventures to include families and professionals who wanted capability with a touch of polish. The CJ-7 managed to walk that line without losing its integrity. By the time the assembly lines shut down, more than 370,000 units had been built. Many still survive, thanks to their simple construction and passionate owners who maintain them meticulously. The Jeep CJ-7's longevity speaks volumes about its design philosophy. It was never built to be disposable. It was built to endure. Its combination of mechanical purity, versatility, and cultural resonance made it a rare machine that felt timeless even as technology marched forward. What truly defined the Jeep CJ-7, however, was not just its engineering but the lifestyle it enabled. It democratized adventure, allowing ordinary people to explore extraordinary places. Whether traversing the Rockies, cruising coastal dunes, or hauling a canoe into the backcountry, the CJ-7 was a willing companion. It made exploration accessible without the need for a large budget or complex equipment. That sense of attainable adventure set the template for every recreational vehicle that followed. Trades on the values the CJ-7 embodied: freedom, durability, and authenticity. The Jeep CJ-7 from 1976 left production with an aura few vehicles ever achieve. A legend built on simplicity, strength, and emotional resonance. But its influence did not stop at nostalgia. After 1986, when the CJ line gave way to the new Wrangler, the DNA of the CJ-7 continued to shape not just design choices but the entire direction of recreational off-roading. Engineers studying the CJ-7 understood that it represented the ideal balance of mechanical honesty and real-world usability. That balance became the template for every generation of Wrangler that followed. Each iteration aimed to modernize safety and comfort without breaking the sacred link between driver, machine, and terrain. The enduring appeal of the Jeep CJ-7 lies in its timeless proportions and honest engineering. Its body lines were more than aesthetic choices. They were functional decisions. Flat fenders allowed easy tire clearance. The vertical windshield reduced glare and simplified folding. The short overhangs maximized approach and departure angles. Every detail served purpose. In an age when vehicles were beginning to chase trends, the CJ-7 remained anchored to reason. That practicality gave it a kind of beauty that transcended style. Even decades later, the silhouette is instantly recognizable because it is driven by function rather than fashion. As the years rolled on, the CJ-7 gained a second life through restoration culture. Enthusiasts scoured barns, fields, and backyards for neglected examples, bringing them back to life piece by piece. Online forums and clubs formed around sharing knowledge about carburetor tuning, frame reinforcement, and period-correct detailing. The process became a rite of passage for many hobbyists. Learning to restore a CJ-7 was as much about mastering mechanical skill as it was about connecting to a piece of American history. The simplicity of the design made it ideal for such projects. Every nut and bolt was accessible, every system understandable. That accessibility is why so many CJ-7s remain on the road today, long after other vehicles from the same era have vanished. The cultural footprint of the Jeep CJ-7 also expanded beyond the off-road community. In the 1980s and 1990s, it appeared in film and television as a visual shorthand for rugged independence. It carried adventurers, detectives, and heroes across fictional landscapes, reinforcing its association with authenticity. Its appearance in pop culture cemented the image of the Jeep as the quintessential American explorer. Dependable, unpretentious, and ready for anything. Few machines have maintained such a consistent symbolic power for so long. Economically, the CJ-7's success proved that a brand could thrive not by chasing mass markets but by owning a cultural niche. It taught manufacturers that lifestyle identity could be as valuable as performance metrics. That lesson reshaped marketing across the automotive industry. The modern SUV boom owes part of its existence to the CJ-7's ability to make outdoor adventure feel attainable and aspirational at the same time. Even as technology redefined what vehicles could do, the CJ-7 remained the emotional benchmark for authenticity. Owners often describe a kind of bond with their Jeep CJ-7 that transcends utility. Part of that comes from the tactile driving experience. The unassisted steering demands attention. The manual transmission rewards rhythm and precision. The suspension communicates every contour of the trail. There is no insulation between the driver and the environment. It requires skill and awareness, which in turn fosters respect. Many owners speak of moments when the CJ-7 taught them patience. How to read terrain, when to trust momentum, and when to let the vehicle work rather than force it. That relationship between driver and machine is why the CJ-7 endures not just as a collectible but as a teacher of driving itself. Another reason for its survival is the sense of community that surrounds it. The Jeep Wave, that subtle acknowledgement between passing drivers, symbolizes more than shared ownership. It reflects a shared understanding that these vehicles represent a philosophy: self-reliance, exploration, and humility before nature. That gesture started with CJ owners long before marketing departments formalized it. The CJ-7, in particular, became the model that united generations of enthusiasts who might otherwise have nothing in common. As the collector market matured, the Jeep CJ-7's value climbed steadily. Original examples in stock condition became sought after, while well-executed restorations commanded respect at auctions and shows. Yet, interestingly, the culture around the CJ-7 has resisted elitism. Unlike classic sports cars locked away in climate-controlled garages, most CJ-7s still see dirt. Owners drive them to events, campouts, and trail meets. The emphasis remains on use, not preservation for its own sake. That active culture keeps the legend alive not as a museum piece but as a living tradition. The mechanical longevity of the Jeep CJ-7 is also a testament to overbuilt engineering. The steel frame, simple leaf spring suspension, and cast-iron drivetrain components were designed to handle abuse. Even decades of exposure to harsh conditions can often be reversed with basic tools and persistence. The parts network remains strong, with reproductions and upgrades available from countless suppliers. This ongoing ecosystem ensures that the CJ-7 is not dependent on nostalgia alone. It is supported by a vibrant economy of enthusiasts who keep it running. In historical context, the Jeep CJ-7 stands as a rare case where a vehicle's original mission, to provide dependable mobility over rough terrain, never drifted from its marketing image. There was no contradiction between what the CJ-7 claimed and what it delivered. That integrity is part of its magic. When someone buys or restores a CJ-7 today, they experience nearly the same sensations as drivers did in 1976. Few machines maintain that kind of continuity across decades. The spirit of the Jeep CJ-7 also influenced design thinking far beyond off-roaders. Its emphasis on visibility, compactness, and user serviceability informed generations of engineers who valued simplicity as elegance. In an era increasingly dominated by software, the CJ-7 serves as a reminder of what mechanical clarity feels like. Every lever, hinge, and bolt is understandable, and that understanding breeds confidence. Environmental trends have also reframed how people view the CJ-7. Once seen as an unapologetically rugged machine, it now stands as a lesson in sustainability through longevity. Instead of being discarded, CJ-7s are rebuilt, repurposed, and reused. This circular approach contrasts with the disposable culture that often defines modern consumption. In that sense, owning and maintaining a CJ-7 has become a quiet act of resistance, a celebration of durability in a world of planned obsolescence. The Jeep CJ-7's legacy ultimately lies not in horsepower or technology but in emotion. It is a vehicle that rewards curiosity and courage, that challenges drivers to understand themselves through exploration. Every trail scar on its frame tells a story. Every dent carries memory. Unlike digital conveniences that fade with updates, the CJ-7's lessons endure. Preparation matters, patience pays off, and simplicity often outlasts complexity. Its presence at classic car gatherings today draws people from multiple generations. The Jeep CJ-7 from 1976 closes its chapter not as a relic but as a benchmark of enduring purpose. Few vehicles manage to stay relevant nearly half a century after their debut. Yet the CJ-7 continues to inspire both engineers and adventurers. It represents an idea that transcends metal and rubber. The belief that freedom and exploration belong to everyone willing to turn a key and head toward the unknown. In an automotive world obsessed with features and technology, the CJ-7 proves that connection still matters more than convenience. What makes the Jeep CJ-7 extraordinary is not perfection but honesty. It asks more from its driver than modern vehicles do: attention, patience, and understanding. But it gives back something precious in return: clarity. You know exactly what the machine is doing, why it behaves as it does, and how your decisions affect the outcome. That transparency builds trust. It reminds drivers that skill is part of the journey. Every bump, every correction, every climb reinforces that essential dialogue between human and machine. Collectors and off-roaders keep the CJ-7 alive because it still delivers experiences no modern counterpart can replicate. Its unfiltered mechanical feedback, open-air simplicity, and sheer versatility offer a kind of driving purity that technology often dilutes. Each restoration or modification adds another chapter to a legacy written by enthusiasts who refuse to let the spirit of exploration fade. Whether parked at a car show or crawling over slick rock, a CJ-7 still commands respect because it has nothing to prove. Its record speaks through decades of trails conquered and memories made. The broader impact of the Jeep CJ-7 is visible across the SUV landscape. Modern vehicles that promise adventure, no matter how polished, owe their existence to the trail the CJ-7 carved. It showed the world that capability could coexist with comfort, that off-roading could become mainstream without losing authenticity. The Wrangler series that succeeded it may be more refined, but the blueprint remains unmistakably CJ-7. Engineers still refer to it when designing new frames, calculating approach angles, or seeking that elusive balance between stability and agility. For all its cultural and mechanical achievements, the Jeep CJ-7 ultimately stands as a symbol of timeless design. When stripped of branding and marketing, it embodies universal principles: simplicity, durability, and purpose. It endures because those qualities never go out of style. Long after the last CJ-7 rolls off the trail, its influence will persist in the vehicles that borrow its DNA, and in the people who learn to appreciate what real driving feels like. In reflecting on its story, one truth becomes clear: adventure does not depend on technology or luxury. It depends on the willingness to embrace challenge and imperfection. The Jeep CJ-7 taught generations to see the world beyond pavement, to trust their instincts, and to find joy in the mechanical rhythm of a machine built to explore. It stands as a reminder that sometimes the simplest tools forge the strongest connections. So the next time you see a Jeep CJ-7 rumbling down the road, covered in dust and proudly wearing its age, remember what it represents. It is more than a vehicle. It is a declaration of freedom on four wheels, a handshake with the past, and an open invitation to the future of adventure.